shadows, and shutter speeds. Lily Chen adjusted her camera settings with practiced fingers, blending into the background of the glittering Manhattan art gallery opening. At 32, she had perfected the art of invisibility while capturing perfect moments, a skill that made her one of the most sought-after event photographers in the city. "Just one more hour," she whispered to herself, flexing her shoulders beneath her simple black dress. Unlike the socialites whose laughter echoed off the high ceilings, Lily preferred the anonymity of being behind the lens rather than in front of it. She raised her camera, focusing on a cluster of art critics gesturing animatedly before a massive abstract canvas. Through her viewfinder, she caught a figure watching her from across the room, tall, with thoughtful eyes that seemed to look through her rather than at her. Lily lowered her camera, unnerved. The man nodded slightly, raising his champagne glass in acknowledgement before turning to speak with the gallery owner. Something about his profile stirred a vague memory she couldn't quite place. "Ms. Chen?" A server appeared at her elbow. "Mr. Harrington would like you to capture the unveiling in the East Wing." Nodding, Lily navigated through the crowd, careful not to brush against designer gowns or interrupt important conversations. She had learned early in her career that the best photographs happened when people forgot she existed. The mysterious man appeared beside her as she adjusted her tripod. "Your work with light is extraordinary." Lily glanced up, surprised. Few people at these events spoke to her directly, let alone about her actual photography. "Thank you, Mr. Blackwood." "Nolan Blackwood." He offered his hand, and she noted the contrast between his expensive watch and the calluses on his palm. "I especially admired your series on urban solitude for The New Yorker last fall." Heat crept up Lily's neck. That series had been deeply personal, capturing moments of isolation amid city crowds, something she understood intimately. "You follow photography?" "I follow exceptional talent." His smile reached his eyes, crinkling the corners in a way that transformed his serious face. "Though I'm more involved in the tech world myself." The name clicked into place. Nolan Blackwood, founder of Blackwood Innovations, whose recent breakthroughs in renewable energy technology had made headlines worldwide. What was a tech billionaire doing discussing her photography? Before she could respond, the gallery lights dimmed for the unveiling. Lily turned to her camera, but found herself unusually distracted by Blackwood's presence nearby. Throughout the evening, she caught him watching her with an expression she couldn't decipher, not predatory or flirtatious, but almost familiar. As the event wound down, Lily packed her equipment, mentally sorting through the night's photographs. A business card appeared on her case. "The Historical Society is hosting a charity gala at the Metropolitan tomorrow night," Nolan said quietly. "They're in need of a photographer. Last-minute cancellation." Lily raised an eyebrow. "And you happen to be on their emergency contact list?" His laugh was unexpected and genuine. "I'm on their board. The pay is excellent, and your style would suit the event perfectly." Their fingers brushed as she accepted the card, and something electric passed between them. "Consider it," he said, holding her gaze a moment longer than necessary before disappearing into the departing crowd. Lily stared at the embossed card, wondering why she felt as though she'd just missed something important, like focusing on the background while the real story happened just out of frame. Focus on the unexpected. The Metropolitan Museum's grand staircase glowed with candlelight as Lily arrived the following evening, her camera bag heavy against her hip. The charity gala was more opulent than she'd anticipated. Celebrities mingled with philanthropists while orchestral music floated through the marble halls. "Thank goodness you're here," breathed the event coordinator, a harried woman named Vanessa. "We need candids of the donors with the historical artifacts. The exhibition room is through there." Lily nodded, slipping between clusters of guests in evening wear. She felt conspicuously underdressed in her simple black jumpsuit, despite it being her most formal attire. As she photographed an actress admiring a centuries-old manuscript, the orchestra abruptly stopped mid-song. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. "Technical difficulties," someone announced. "The musician's sheet music files have been corrupted." Lily continued shooting, capturing the confused expressions and whispered conversations. These unscripted moments often made her best photographs. "Ladies and gentlemen," a smooth voice called from the central exhibit hall, "perhaps we could pivot to something a bit more improvisational." Lily recognized Nolan Blackwood standing beside an antique grand piano. The crowd parted as he sat at the bench, removing his suit jacket with deliberate movements. "I'm no virtuoso," he said with a self-deprecating smile, "but music was my first love before technology stole my heart." His fingers touched the keys, and the room fell silent. The melody began simply, something classical that Lily couldn't name, before transforming into a contemporary piece that seemed to tell a story of its own. She raised her camera, capturing his expression of complete absorption. The crisis averted. The evening flowed smoothly afterward. Lily found herself following Blackwood with her lens throughout the night, intrigued by how he moved between different social circles with quiet confidence, yet never seemed fully part of any group. Near midnight, she slipped away to the rooftop terrace for fresh air, her camera finally at rest. The Manhattan skyline sparkled before her like a reflection of the stars above. "Escaping your own art?" Nolan's voice came from behind her. Lily turned, finding him leaning against the doorway. "Just changing my perspective." "Sometimes you need distance to see things clearly." He joined her at the stone balustrade, close enough that she could smell his cologne, something with notes of cedar and bergamot. "Your photography reveals how you see the world," he said, looking out at the city. "You find beauty in overlooked moments." "While you create technology everyone notices," she countered. His smile was enigmatic. "We're not so different. Both translating what we see into something others can experience." Lily studied his profile against the night sky. "Why did you really want me here tonight, Mr. Blackwood?" Instead of answering, he turned to face her, his expression suddenly vulnerable. "Nolan, please." Something in his gaze made her breath catch. Before she could process what was happening, he leaned forward and kissed her. His lips were warm, tasting faintly of champagne, and his hand came up to gently cradle her cheek. The kiss deepened as Lily surprised herself by responding, her camera forgotten as it hung at her side. For someone normally hidden behind her viewfinder, the immediacy of the moment was intoxicating. When they finally pulled apart, Lily's heart raced. "I don't understand," she whispered. Nolan's eyes held hers, filled with an emotion she couldn't interpret. "I've waited so long to do that." "We just met yesterday," she said, confusion evident in her voice. His smile turned sad. "No, Lily, we didn't." Developing truths. 6 years ago, the Berkeley Tech Summit. Nolan's voice was quiet as they sat in a secluded corner of the museum's cafe after the gala ended. "You were photographing the Innovators Under 30s panel." Lily's eyes widened with dawning recognition. "You were one of the speakers, but you looked so different then." "Less gray hair, cheaper suit," he acknowledged with a self-deprecating smile. "I was just launching my first company. My presentation crashed halfway through." "I remember," she said slowly. "You made a joke about it and continued without slides." His fingers traced patterns on the tablecloth. "What you don't know is what happened afterward. You were taking candids at the reception, and you gave me your card. Said my recovery under pressure would make a good feature for the technology magazine you were working with." Lily frowned. "I don't remember giving you my card." "You wouldn't. We spoke for maybe 2 minutes." His eyes held hers. "But those 2 minutes changed everything for me. I was at a crossroads, considering selling my patents to a larger company. Your photographs from that conference captured something I couldn't articulate, the human element behind innovation." "So you've... what? Been following my career since then?" Lily wrapped her hands around her coffee cup, unsure whether to be flattered or concerned. Nolan shook his head. "Not in a stalker way. I subscribed to publications you worked with. Attended a gallery showing of yours in Chicago 3 years ago. You wouldn't remember. I stayed in the back." "Why not just introduce yourself?" Timing never seemed right. I was building my company, traveling constantly, and then... He paused. "I wasn't sure someone like you would want attention from someone like me." The vulnerability in his admission, touched something in Lily. She'd spent her life capturing intimate moments between others while remaining apart from them. "The kiss was impulsive," he continued. "I apologize if it was unwelcome." "It wasn't unwelcome," Lily admitted quietly. "Just unexpected." 3 days later, Lily found herself in Nolan's penthouse overlooking Central Park, photographing him for a profile in Innovation Quarterly. The magazine had been thrilled when she mentioned her access to the normally publicity-shy entrepreneur. As she adjusted the lighting near his home office windows, Nolan moved behind her, his hands settling gently on her waist. "Is this distracting your work?" he murmured against her ear. Lily leaned back into his warmth. "Completely unprofessional," she replied, turning in his arms. Their second kiss was slower than the first, a deliberate exploration. His fingers threaded through her hair as he backed her gently against the window, Manhattan spread out beneath them. "I've thought about this for years," he confessed between kisses. "The real you is even more extraordinary than I imagined." Later that evening, they lay tangled in the sheets of his bed, the city lights casting patterns across their skin. Nolan traced the curve of her shoulder with a reverent touch. "I know this is fast," he said, "but nothing about us has followed a conventional timeline." Lily propped herself up on her elbow. "I still can't reconcile the idea that you've carried this feeling for years while I knew nothing about you." "Does that bother you?" She considered this. "It's like discovering someone's been writing a story about you, and suddenly you're invited to co-author the ending." Nolan smiled, pulling her closer. "I like that analogy, though I hope it's not the ending, but a beginning." As she rested her head on his chest, Lily wondered if she was developing feelings just as genuine as his, only compressed into days rather than years. The thought was both thrilling and terrifying. Retry Up Art 4 to 5 Edit Part 4. Overexposed, reclusive tech genius. Blackwood's secret romance with photography artist. The headline screamed across Lily's phone screen as she sat frozen in her small Brooklyn apartment. Beneath it, a blurry photo showed her and Nolan embracing on his terrace, clearly taken with a telephoto lens from another building. Her phone buzzed incessantly with notifications, emails from publications offering exclusive interviews, messages from friends asking if it was true, and texts from clients suddenly interested in booking her services. When Nolan called, Lily almost didn't answer. "I'm so sorry," he said immediately. "My security team is trying to identify who took the photo." "It doesn't matter who took it," Lily replied, her voice tight. "It's out there now. My inbox has exploded with people who never gave me a second glance before, and suddenly they all want to know me. Or rather, they want to know about you." "We'll handle this," Nolan assured her. "I've dealt with invasive press before." "That's just it," Lily said, staring at the photograph again. "You have." "I haven't. I'm the one who observes, Nolan. I'm not supposed to be the one being observed." The silence between them stretched uncomfortably. "Can I come over?" he finally asked. Lily glanced around her modest apartment, so different from his sleek penthouse. "Not today. I need to think." The following week became a crash course in unwanted attention. A fashion magazine offered Lily a spread featuring the woman who captured Blackwood's heart. A competitor of Nolan's canceled her booking for their annual gala. Worst of all, a tech blog published a retrospective of her career, implying she'd used her connection to Nolan to advance professionally. She avoided his calls for 3 days before finally agreeing to meet at a quiet restaurant in Williamsburg, where the owner, an old client of Lily's, seated them in a private back room. Nolan looked tired, the usual sharpness in his eyes dulled by worry. "I've missed you," he said simply. "This isn't what I signed up for," Lily replied, cutting straight to the heart of things. "My work is suffering. People are looking at my photographs differently now, searching for some connection to you instead of seeing what I actually created." "What can I do?" he asked, reaching for her hand across the table. She let him take it despite her reservations. "That's the problem. There's nothing you can do. This is who you are, someone the world watches. And I've spent my entire career being invisible." You were never invisible to me, Nolan said quietly. The sincerity in his voice made her chest ache. I know, and that meant something before all this. Now, I don't know if I'm special to you or just the latest thing the world expects you to have, a creative partner to complement the tech genius. His expression hardened. That's not fair, Lily. None of this is fair, she countered. 3 weeks ago, I was taking photographs of people falling in love. Now I'm apparently living some sort of modern fairy tale that everyone feels entitled to comment on. Before he could respond, the restaurant owner appeared with a worried expression. I'm sorry, but there are photographers gathering outside. Someone must have tipped them off. Lily closed her eyes briefly. See? This is what I mean. Nolan pulled out his phone. I'll have my driver bring the car around back. No. Lily stood up. I'll handle this myself. She walked out the front door, camera bag slung over her shoulder, facing the small crowd of paparazzi with the same composure she brought to her work. They shouted questions as their flashes popped around her. Is Blackwood proposing tonight? How long have you two been together? Did you meet at a photo shoot? Lily stopped and faced them directly. I'm a professional photographer just like many of you. I respect privacy, both my own and others. Please do the same. She walked away, leaving Nolan behind, wondering if what they had could survive being dragged into the light. Perfect composition. 3 weeks of silence stretched between them like an overexposed negative, too bright to reveal any detail. Lily threw herself into work, accepting an assignment photographing indigenous communities in rural Alaska. Far from cell service and tabloid photographers, the vast, empty landscapes gave her space to think, to recalibrate her relationship with her camera and herself. Each evening, she reviewed her day's photographs in a tiny cabin lit by generator power, finding her artistic voice again in the faces of people who had no idea who Nolan Blackwood was. On her last night there, the village elder invited her to photograph the northern lights. As ribbons of green and purple danced across the sky, Lily found herself thinking of Nolan, how his eyes lit up when he spoke about renewable energy, how carefully he'd handled her cameras when she showed him her equipment. You capture beauty, but you look sad, the elder observed as Lily adjusted her tripod. I'm at a crossroads, she admitted, between the life I've always had and something new that frightens me, the old woman nodded. Fear and growth, always they danced together like those lights. When Lily returned to New York, she found a package waiting at her apartment. Inside was an antique camera, a 1954 Leica M3, and a handwritten note, for seeing the world as only you can. The rest is noise. No pressure, no grand gestures, just acknowledgement of what mattered most to her. She called him that evening. There's something you should know, Nolan said, after they'd spoken for an hour, falling easily back into conversation. About why I was really at that tech conference 6 years ago. Lily sat on her fire escape, phone pressed to her ear. I'm listening. I was there to meet James Chen, a photographer whose early digital archiving systems revolutionized image preservation. The name sent a jolt through Lily. My father? Yes. Nolan's voice was gentle. I didn't make the connection until after we met at the gallery. You don't use his last name professionally. We haven't spoken in years, Lily said, her throat tight. Creative differences that became personal. He mentioned his daughter was also at the conference. A talented photographer walking her own path. Nolan paused. That's why your photographs caught my attention initially. I saw something familiar in them. Lily absorbed this revelation, this unexpected thread connecting her past to her present. Why didn't you tell me sooner? I wanted you to know me as myself first, not as someone connected to your father. The honesty in his explanation resonated with her. They'd both been hiding parts of themselves, her behind her camera, him behind his success. Can we start over? Lily asked finally. Not as a billionaire and a photographer or as strangers with a 6-year history, but just as two people who see each other clearly? 2 days later, they met at a small coffee shop in the West Village. No reservations, no security detail. Nolan arrived with his hair tousled by the spring breeze, wearing jeans and a simple button-down shirt. Lily had brought her new Leica, loaded with black and white film. "May I?" she asked, raising the camera. Nolan nodded, his expression open and unguarded as she captured him, not as the tech innovator or the wealthy bachelor, but simply as the man who had seen her when she thought she was invisible. "Perfect," she murmured, lowering the camera. He reached across the table, taking her hand in his. "I don't care if they photograph us or write stories. None of that changes what's real between us." "And what is that exactly?" Lily asked, though she already knew the answer in the way her heart quickened at his touch. "A perfect composition," he said, echoing her photographic terminology with a smile. "Something rare that deserves to be developed carefully, over time." When he kissed her this time, Lily didn't worry about who might be watching. Some moments deserved to be captured, preserved, and remembered, not just through her lens, but in the lived experience of two people finding each other across time and circumstance, creating a future neither could have imagined alone.